The grandmother looked at her grandson. She'd held him as a baby, watched him grow. But somewhere along the way, she started seeing something her son refused to see. Something that didn't add up. And now, sitting in this courtroom, she was about to prove she was right, even if it destroyed her family. For years, Lauren Lake has presided over moments families fear and need the most. Calm presence, firm voice. In her courtroom, truth doesn't entertain, it decides. And today, a mother would challenge her own son's paternity, not because she wanted to, but because the truth doesn't wait for permission. The courtroom was cold, not temperature, atmosphere. On one side sat Patricia Coleman, mid-60s, gray hair pulled back, hands folded, calm. On the other side sat her son, Marcus Coleman, and his wife, Keisha. Marcus wouldn't look at his mother. Keisha stared straight ahead. And between them all, a 5-year-old boy who had no idea his entire world was about to shift. The judge looked at Patricia. "Mrs. Coleman, you've petitioned this court for a DNA test on your grandson, Jayden Coleman. Your son, Marcus, is listed as the father, but you believe otherwise. Can you explain to the court why you're here today?" Patricia's voice was steady. "Because I love my son, and I love that little boy, but I can't watch my son live a lie anymore." "What lie?" the judge asked. "That Jayden is his biological son." Courtroom stirred. Marcus's jaw clenched. Keisha closed her eyes. "Mrs. Coleman, that's a serious accusation. What evidence do you have to support this claim?" Patricia reached into her bag and pulled out a small folder. She handed it to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. "That's a timeline. Dates, medical records, and photos." The judge opened the folder, scanned it. Her expression didn't change. "Walk me through this." Patricia took a breath. 6 years ago, my son and Keisha were engaged, but they were having problems. Marcus was working long hours. Keisha felt neglected. They broke up for about 4 months. She paused. During that time, Keisha was seeing another man. "Do you know who that man was?" "His name is Terrell Hobbs. He was Keisha's co-worker." The judge looked at Keisha. "Miss Coleman, is this true?" Keisha didn't answer right away. Then quietly, "Yes." Marcus turned to look at her. Not angry. Worse. Betrayed. "Miss Coleman," the judge continued, "you were in a relationship with Mr. Hobbs during your separation from Marcus." "Yes." "And were you intimate with him?" "Yes." "How long did that relationship last?" "About 3 months." "And when did you and Marcus reconcile?" "At the end of that 4-month period. We got back together. We got married 6 months later." "And when was Jayden born?" Keisha's voice was barely audible. 10 months after we got back together." The judge did the math silently. "So there's a window where either Marcus or Mr. Hobbs could be Jayden's biological father." "I was only with Terrell during the separation," Keisha said quickly. "When Marcus and I got back together, I cut all contact. I haven't spoken to Terrell in 6 years." "But you were intimate with him during the time frame when Jayden could have been conceived." Keisha hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe." "The timing is close." Patricia spoke up. "It's not close. It's exact." The judge turned to her. "Mrs. Coleman, what makes you so certain?" "Because Jayden was born 2 weeks early." Keisha told everyone he was premature. "But I'm a retired labor and delivery nurse. I looked at that baby the day he was born. He was full term, maybe even late." Which means she conceived earlier than she's been saying. The courtroom went quiet. Marcus was staring at his mother now. "You counted?" "I counted." "You've been counting for 5 years. I've been watching for 5 years. Why didn't you say anything?" Patricia's voice cracked for the first time. "Because I wanted to be wrong. I wanted you to be happy. But I can't keep quiet anymore. That boy deserves to know the truth. And so do you." The judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Coleman, you said you've been watching. What specifically did you notice about Jayden that made you question his paternity?" Patricia pulled out more photos from her folder. "These are family photos. Marcus is a baby. Marcus's father is a baby. Marcus's brothers. Every male in our family has the same features. Wide-set eyes, broad nose, prominent forehead." She set down a photo of Jayden. "Look at this child. None of those features. Not one." "Genetics can skip generations," Keisha interrupted. "Not like this," Patricia said firmly. "I've delivered hundreds of babies. I know what family resemblance looks like. And I know when it's not there." The judge studied the photos. "Mr. Coleman, when your mother first brought this to you, how did you respond?" Marcus rubbed his face. "I told her she was being paranoid. I told her she was trying to ruin my marriage." "Is that true, Mrs. Coleman? Did you not like your daughter-in-law?" Patricia looked at Keisha. "I always felt like she was hiding something. From the beginning. The way she rushed the wedding. Something always felt off." "That's not fair," Keisha said, voice rising. "You never gave me a chance. I looked at you like you were lying to him." Patricia shot back. "And I was right." The judge raised her hand. "Ladies, we're here for facts, not feelings." She looked at Marcus. "Your mother mentioned you started noticing things about Jayden. Can you elaborate?" Marcus took a deep breath. "His temperament. He's quiet. Observant. I'm loud. My whole family is loud." And I kept thinking, where does he get this from? But doubt grew, the judge said. "Yes. And then my mother showed me the timeline. And I couldn't unsee it." The judge looked at Marcus. Mr. Coleman, when did your mother bring this concern to you? Marcus's hands were shaking. 2 months ago. She sat me down and told me everything. The timeline. The dates. Terrell's name. He looked at Keisha. I asked my wife if it was true, and she said no. She said my mother was trying to destroy our marriage. And did you believe her? I wanted to. But Marcus looked down. But then I started looking at Jayden. Really looking. And I started seeing things I'd never noticed before. His eyes, his nose, the shape of his face. He stopped. He doesn't look like anyone in my family. Keisha's voice rose. That doesn't mean anything. Genetics are complicated. Then take the test, Patricia said. If I'm wrong, prove it. Keisha turned to her. You want to destroy my family because of what? A hunch. I want my son to know the truth. He is your son. Keisha shot back, and Jayden is his son. This test is going to prove that. And when it does, you need to stay out of our lives. The judge raised a hand. Miss Coleman, I understand you're upset, but we're here to find the truth, not to assign blame. She looked at Patricia. Mrs. Coleman, you mentioned photos in this folder. What do these photos show? Patricia handed over another set of papers. That's Terrell Hobbs. I found him on social media. Look at his face. Look at Jayden's face and tell me I'm imagining things. The judge studied the photos. Her expression remained neutral, but something in the way she set them down suggested she saw what Patricia saw. Miss Coleman, the judge said, have you been in contact with Terrell Hobbs since your separation from Marcus? No. Does he know about Jayden? Keisha paused. No. Why not? Because Jayden is Marcus's son. There was no reason to tell Terrell. But if there was even a chance, there wasn't. Then, why are we here? The judge asked pointedly. Keisha didn't answer. The judge turned to Marcus. Mr. Coleman, why did you agree to this test? Marcus looked at his wife, then at his mother, then at the table. Because I need to know. I've been raising Jayden for 5 years. I love that boy more than anything in this world. But if there's even a chance, his voice broke. I need to know. And if the test comes back and you're not his biological father, Marcus's jaw tightened. Then I'll deal with that when it happens. Will you stay in his life? I don't know. Keisha's head snapped toward him. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, I don't know, Keisha. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel if I've been raising another man's child for 5 years and you knew the whole time. I didn't know. But you suspected. Keisha went quiet. The judge spoke carefully. Miss Coleman, I'm going to ask you a direct question and I need an honest answer. Did you know there was a possibility that Terrell Hobbs could be Jayden's father? Silence. Miss Coleman, Keisha's voice was small. I didn't want to know. That's not the same as not knowing. Keisha looked up. Tears were streaming down her face now. When I found out I was pregnant, Marcus and I had just gotten back together. We were happy. We were planning a wedding. And I thought, if I just don't think about it, if I just move forward, it won't matter. The baby will be his. I'll make it be his. But biology doesn't work that way, the judge said. I know that now. The judge leaned back. Mr. Hobbs was contacted by this court and agreed to DNA testing. He's here today. Mr. Hobbs, please stand. A man in the back row stood slowly, mid-30s, tall, lean. He looked uncomfortable in a button-down shirt. He looked at Keisha. She wouldn't meet his eyes. Mr. Hobbs, the judge said, you had a relationship with Miss Coleman 6 years ago. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And when this court contacted you about a potential paternity case, what was your reaction? Terrell shifted his weight. I was shocked. I had no idea she'd had a baby. Did you know she'd gotten back together with Mr. Coleman? Not right away, but I heard later that they got married. I figured that was that. Did Miss Coleman ever tell you she might be pregnant? No, never. When was the last time you spoke to her? Terrell thought for a moment. About a week before she and Marcus got back together, she called me and said it was over, that she was going back to him, that we couldn't talk anymore. How did that conversation end? She hung up. I tried calling back a few times. She blocked my number. The judge turned to Keisha. Miss Coleman, is that accurate? Keisha nodded, tears streaming. Yes. Why did you cut contact so abruptly? Because I knew. I knew I might be pregnant. And I knew if I stayed in touch with Terrell, I'd have to face the possibility that the baby was his. So I just ended it, blocked him, moved on. But you didn't move on, the judge said. You carried that secret for 6 years. I tried to forget it. I tried to make it not matter. Miss Coleman, I need to ask you something very directly. The judge's voice was measured but firm. When Jayden was born, did you look at him and wonder if he was Terrell's? Keisha's face crumpled every day, for the first year, every single day. But Marcus was so happy, and Jayden was so beautiful. And I thought, maybe if I just love him enough, biology won't matter. But biology always matters in cases like this, the judge said. Because somewhere, another man had a right to know he had a child. And your son had a right to know who his father really was. Keisha covered her face with both hands. I know that now. Marcus spoke, his voice cold. When did you stop wondering? When did you decide to just live with the lie? Keisha looked at him through tears. I never stopped wondering, but I stopped letting myself think about it because thinking about it meant losing you. And I couldn't lose you. But you lied to me every day for 5 years. I know. You looked me in the eye and let me believe I was his father. You are his father, Keisha said desperately. You raised him. You love him. That's not the same thing. Marcus's voice broke. That's not the same thing, and you know it. Marcus made a sound. Low. Controlled. Like a man swallowing rage. The judge picked up the envelope. The DNA test was conducted on Jayden Coleman, Marcus Coleman, and Terrell Hobbs. These results will determine biological paternity. She opened the envelope. Read it silently. Then she looked up. In the matter of Jayden Coleman regarding paternity, she paused, looked at Marcus. Mr. Marcus Coleman, according to these results, you are excluded as the biological father. The room erupted. Marcus didn't move. He sat perfectly still, like a statue. His mother reached for him. He pulled away. Keisha put her face in her hands and sobbed. Terrell sat down slowly, staring at the floor. The judge waited for the room to quiet. Then she continued. Mr. Terrell Hobbs, according to these DNA results, you are the biological father of Jayden Coleman. Terrell's head dropped into his hands. Patricia closed her eyes. Not in victory. In grief. Marcus finally moved. He stood slowly. But before he could leave, the judge spoke. Mr. Coleman, I know you want to walk out of here, but I need you to stay for just a moment longer. Marcus stopped, didn't sit back down, just stood there, his back to the room. Mrs. Coleman, the judge turned to Patricia, you brought this case to court. You were right. But I want to ask you something. Was there any part of you that hoped you were wrong? Patricia's voice shook. Every part of me hoped I was wrong. Every single part. Because being right meant watching my son's heart break. It meant destroying his family. It meant that little boy's life would never be the same. She looked at Marcus's back. But being wrong would have meant letting a lie continue. And I couldn't do that. Not to my son. Not to that child. And not to the man who deserved to know he had a son. The judge nodded slowly. Mr. Coleman, I want you to hear something. Your mother didn't do this to hurt you. She did this because she loves you. And sometimes love means telling truths that no one wants to hear. Marcus's shoulders tensed. He turned slightly, looked at his mother. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, quietly, I know. His voice cracked. But that doesn't make it hurt less. No, Patricia whispered. It doesn't. Marcus looked at the judge. Can I go now? One more thing, the judge said gently. That little boy, Jayden, he didn't ask for any of this. He's 5 years old, and right now he's at home thinking his daddy is coming back. What happens to him is up to the adults in this room. But I need you to think about something before you walk out that door. You've been his father for 5 years. That's not nothing. That matters. And whatever you decide to do moving forward, that boy will remember. Make sure it's something you can live with. Marcus didn't respond. He just turned, buttoned his jacket, and walked toward the door. Keisha called after him. He didn't stop. He didn't turn around. He just kept walking. The judge spoke to Terrell. Mr. Hobbs, you are now legally recognized as Jayden's biological father. This court will establish custody and visitation rights. But this child has been raised by Marcus Coleman for 5 years. That bond is real. Any arrangement must consider what is in Jayden's best interest. Keisha nodded, still crying. Terrell spoke quietly. What do I even say to him? He doesn't know me. You start by being honest, the judge said. Tell him the truth in a way he can understand. But know this, you may be his biological father, but right now, you're a stranger to him. Building that relationship will take time. Terrell nodded. I understand. I'm not going anywhere. The judge looked at Patricia. Mrs. Coleman, you came here seeking the truth, and you got it. But the truth doesn't always heal. Sometimes it just reveals. Your son is hurting. He's going to need you, not as the person who was right, but as his mother. Patricia nodded. Her face was wet with tears now. Court is adjourned. People began filing out. Terrell sat alone for a long time, staring at the table, wondering what it meant to be a father to a 5-year-old who'd never heard his name. Keisha left through a side door, shoulders shaking. Patricia walked out slowly, carrying the weight of being right about something she'd prayed she was wrong about. And Marcus got in his car and drove. He didn't go home. He didn't call anyone. He just drove. Because somewhere in that courthouse, he'd stopped being a father, and he didn't know how to be anything else. In the weeks that followed, Marcus filed for divorce. Terrell began supervised visitation with Jayden. The boy cried the first time, asked for daddy, but daddy wasn't coming, and no one knew how to explain why. For years, Lauren Lake has presided over moments families fear and need the most, but some truths cost more than lies ever did. A grandmother protected her son by destroying his world. A wife protected her marriage by hiding the truth. And a man who'd been a father for 5 years learned that love and biology aren't always the same thing. And sometimes, the people who love you most are the ones who hurt you worst, not because they wanted to, but because the truth demanded it.